Right, do you think absolutely anyone can learn to be a freelance journalist, or does it take a certain kind of person?
Great question. No, not absolutely anyone. I mean, you can't. Well, I think the thing is, being a freelance journalist suits you if you read a lot, you write a lot, and you don't mind your life being entirely unpredictable. So I wouldn't say it's for everybody. I think, a lot of people, especially media students that I meet in this college, they're like, I'd love to work in magazines, I'd love to do this. And you speak to them, within about 2 minutes, you realise not only you dim, but you don't read.
Yeah.
It's a vital ingredient is that you read, because otherwise, where are you going to get your inspiration from? Absolutely crucial to me was that I started reading the music press from quite a young age, and now if you ask somebody now who's your favourite NME journalist, most of them won't have a clue who writes the pieces. But back then, journalists had quite a lot of personality that they put into their writing, and I had my favourites. So it's not for everybody. A lot of people don't want an unpredictable life. A lot of people want a predictable life. Also, journalism is not for everybody. For some reason, everyone seems to want to be a journalist. Even people I meet want to be journalists. I think I should put them off by dint of my haggardness, miserableness and everything else. But for some reason, they still want to be journalists. And the fatal thing is, I think, they just think that journalism is basically meeting famous people, and that's it. That is absolutely not it, and it's not a motive for getting into journalism either. No. The motive for getting into journalism is because you love writing, you love the thing that you're going to write about, whether it's politics, whether it's sport, or whether it's music or film or whatever. You've got to love the things you're going to write about, and you've got to love the process of writing itself. And really, when you kind of scrape away all the crap and try and find people who are like that, there's not that many, Whereas there are loads of people who want to meet famous people. There's not that many people who have done the necessary reading, or just have the necessary sort of intelligence and passion for it that's needed. They're all keen, don't get me wrong, but keenness, enthusiasm only takes you so far. It's actually, even though I've said to you and the rest of the group, well, freelancing's great, you get to sit around in your pants, eating toast all day. It's actually really, really bloody hard work. It's not the lazy option. It's actually the tougher option than getting a straight media job. So, no, it's absolutely not for anybody.
Right, then I don't really have a clever answer for that. That sounds just as intelligent. You said that freelance journalism in one of the lessons was sort of the way that journalism was going to go. Why?
Because I think the endless drive in the media is to drive costs down. I mean, it's the endless drive of all industry, really. When I look, like last week, I went to a reunion of the people I used to work with, and it was in the pub next to the office block that we used to work in. And I remember looking at it, just thinking, 30 floors of office block.
Yeah.
I mean, in central London, Jesus, that must cost a lot to rent. It must cost a lot to heat and light and everything else. I have conducted my entire journalistic career from my computer at home. In fact, initially it was from my typewriter at home and the fax machine down the road at the post office. But I've conducted my entire career like that, and I just see things heading in that direction. If we're driving costs down, then there is no reason for an office, really. There's no reason for that anymore. I can see why there might be a reason if you say making a print magazine, but let's face it, all right? Print magazines are on their way out. They really genuinely, I think they genuinely are. There are some absolutely iconic magazines that will probably never disappear in print form, but they happen to be things like Vanity Fair, Vogue, things like that. The NME, for instance, is surely on its way out, as is Kerrang. Their sales figures are so down that I can't see them being sustainable. So you have to ask yourself, if you're not turning out a print magazine and it's all web, which it possibly will be, is there a need for an office anymore? I don't think there is. So in a weird way, that means that staff positions are expensive, whereas paying people for individual bits of copy might be cheaper. So I just think everyone will be freelance in the future. But the thing that scares the hell out of me is how ill-equipped I am for this future. Because to be a journalist in the future, freelance journalist certainly, you're going to have to be socially networked, up the wazoo. You're going to have to be totally Twittering and all of that sort of stuff. And also you're going to have to be diverse. I've found increasingly now that journalists are also asked to be photographers. They're also asked to be web designers. You know, you've got to be able to do all of these different skills. So when I said that, Christian, I'm sure I was full of conviction, but the further we go along, the more actually unsure I am about the future. But what I am pretty sure of is that there's going to be less and less sort of big media concrete positions like there used to be. You're going to be a media worker who can do loads of different things, but who knows whether you'll have an office to go to. You possibly won't.
With more freelancers around, then, won't it be harder for individual freelancers to actually find work?
It will. It will, in as much as it'll be more difficult for them to generate work that will be sold to huge media corporations. But I think the future of the media is probably much more diverse than that. And we are still beholden to these big corporations.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about radio, say, you're talking about the Bauer Group and you're talking about other big lumpy corporations. I don't see that as being the future of the media. And I see a lot of these things... I see independent media growing hugely in the coming years. I also see probably a lot of that independent media selling out to these big corporations. But, it's going to be tougher. And the trouble is, an awful lot of people are going to uni and coming out wanting to... I don't know why everyone wants to work in the media. I think the media presents itself as this glamorous, exciting thing, and hence a lot of people mistake the fact that they are saturated with the media with the ability to actually work for the media. Yeah. And I'm not entirely sure it's the same thing. I'm worried, put it that way, Christian. Put it that way.
All right. Let me have a look. You say all these things about like freelance journalism, the uncertainty about money, finding work. Why didn't that put you off? Why did you still go that way?
Well, for starters, when I started, I didn't know about the uncertainty of money. I got my first check through the door. I thought, fantastic. Yeah. It was only later on that I realised that depending on the corporation that you work for, it is difficult getting paid. I also realised that being lazy meant that you starved. I learnt all of those things as time went on.
So by accident? Then?
By accident, but I never got put off it because I was having too good a time. You know, I mean, when you're young, not necessarily having a load of money in your pocket it never really bothered me. So I'm low maintenance. I'm not an expensive person to maintain. All I need is a bit of food and a packet of fags every day, and I was kind of happy. So if I had a family to support, if I had big plans or a big house or anything like that, then freelancing would doubtless not have been for me. But I was very low maintenance. I was having too much fun doing it, and still to this day I miss it like mad. I'm still doing it, but it's not the only thing sustaining me. It's not the same.